Good morning. Om Sahana Bhuvatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vivishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. All right, we are going to go ahead and start on the implications of a story within a story. So yesterday we had gone over the four implications of the divine embodiment, and now we're going to go over why there's a story within a story. In Yoga Vasistha, the world is presented as a long dream of the soul, from which it must wake up to realize its essential nature as Brahman, the Absolute. The world is like a dream within a dream, a mind within a mind, an illusion within an illusion. This theme is set forth in the commencement of this vast work in the form of a series of stories. First, Sutikshna approaches Agasti for enlightenment. Agastya tells the following story. Karunya seeks to be enlightened by his father, Agnivesha. The latter tells the following story. Shruchi, a heavenly apsara, diverting herself in the picturesque atmosphere of the Himalayas, listens to Devaduta, the divine messenger, who tells the following story. The king, Arishtanemi, having renounced the pleasures of the heavenly worlds, sought the nature of the self, the higher self, self with a capital S, at the feet of sage Valmiki. The latter introduces the following story. Lord Rama, the divine incarnation of Lord Vishnu, is instructed by sage Vasistha so that he might recover the essential nature of his divine self. This is the central story encompassing the teachings of this great work. 6. Sage Valmiki further introduces the story of himself and his disciple, Bharadwaja, who was the first recipient of his great work, Yoga Vasistha. Throughout the writings of the Yoga Vasistha, the spiritual teachings are being given to these 6 aspirants by Agasti, Agnivesha, Devaduta, Valmiki, and Vasistha. There is a mystic implication at each of these 6 levels of spiritual teaching. I just find it's such grace that this story, which is so complicated in so many ways, especially if you're coming at this from a Western perspective and not used to the names or the context or just not having a background, that it's just such grace that Swami Jyotirmayananda lays this out so clearly for us. And some of them don't feel so clearly as we start. It takes a few readings. It takes some sitting with it to really get it. So these recordings here are wonderful to get introduced, but if you can, it's really good to read it yourself, either through the online version at archive.org or ordering a text. If you would like to order one from the Divine Grace Yoga Ashram, I'll put my email here, and just let me know and we can send it through. Okay, there's a mystic implication at each of these 6 levels of spiritual teaching, aligned with these 6 spiritual aspirants. First, Sutikshna literally means sharp or subtle. Agasti is the name for the effulgent sun. The approach of Sutikshna to Agasti implies the movement of the intellect towards intuition. This is the basic theme of the spiritual movement. An aspirant who is aware of this basic picture of spiritual movement is of the highest type. 2, the approach of Karunya, one who is in grief and confusion, to Agnivesha, one who is an embodiment of fire, is symbolic of the need of the chitta, mind stuff, to be permeated by the fire of samadhi, or superconsciousness. One who lacks the subtlest form of the intellect needs to purify his mind through the practice of Raja Yoga. Thus, he can allow the karmic impressions to be consumed in the fire of samadhi. This level belongs to the aspirants who are the next to best type. Raja Yoga being what we commonly think of as yoga through breath work, pranayama, asanas, meditation, and this is all part of Raja Yoga. The third type of spiritual aspirant is Suruchi, which means good taste. Suruchi approaches the divine messenger, spiritual inclination. This is symbolic of the integration of sentiments required on the path of spiritual movement. This is the theme of Bhakti Yoga, or the path of devotion. And we talked a little bit about yesterday about transforming the emotions into emotion for the divine, for the highest self, for God. This is the theme of Bhakti Yoga adopted by those aspirants in whom sentiments are more predominant. The scripture of Yoga Vasistha provides such entertaining discourses that the aspirant is tempted by mere mental diversion at the outset, but he is gradually led to spiritual heights. The aspirants at this level are mediocre in nature. The fourth is King Arishtanemi, the destroyer of all evil. The king symbolizes the movement of Rajas, active energy, towards sage Valmiki, the purity of nature, Sattva, or Sattva. These are the three, when we talked about the reason for the divine embodiment, then we were talking about the tamasic ego. The tamasic is, tamas is inertia, rajas is activity, and sattva is clarity. All three energies are needed for this world, yet in order to have the easiest way to be in touch with our highest self is to have a predominance of the sattva energy. So again, I'll read this. King Arishtanemi, the destroyer of evil, symbolizes the movement of Rajas, active energy, towards Sage Valmiki, the purity of nature, Sattva. Sage Valmiki was so called because he emerged out of an anthill after a prolonged state of samadhi. This emergence is symbolic of transcending the body through the increasing development of sattva, or purity. Rajas, active energy, is transmuted into sattva, harmony and purity, in the process of spiritual development. This story sets forth the nature of these inner movements on the spiritual path. The story of Lord Rama, the divine self in a state of embodiment, in Sage Vasistha, the self established in the highest state of liberation, depicts an integral movement of the soul towards the state of self-realization. With Lord Rama as the ideal disciple, the teachings of Sage Vasistha cover every aspect of spiritual movement. So this will be the story for us. Lord Rama is the ideal disciple, and the teachings will lay out for us. It's our story, it's my story, it's your story, it's everyone's story towards spiritual development. And so that's what will be laid out here in the Yoga Vasistha. So 6, the mention of Sage Valmiki and his disciple Bharadwaj is to highlight the need of a guru-disciple relationship for attaining spiritual knowledge. Thus, these 6 points indicate different types of aspirants, different processes of transformation in the personality of an aspirant, and the all-comprehensive account of spiritual movement that is being presented through the work of the Yoga Vasistha. I think we'll stop there today. I think we've mentioned this before, but it's the hero's journey that Joseph Campbell talks about. It's what we find so attractive in all of our stories of, I'm thinking of Star Wars, because I could have this wrong, but my understanding is that Joseph Campbell worked with the director of Star Wars because it's just another version of the hero's journey. And we each start off where the Yoga Vasistha starts off, at a place of dispassion. And it seems that what he's telling us here is that there's 6 different types of spiritual aspirants, or there's 6 different levels of spiritual teaching, and how we can each absorb it. And what's so great about these stories is they kind of bypass some of our ego blocks. At least that's been the case for me. It's been really beneficial to me. And of course, there's so much more to learn, and there's so much more for me to understand on my path. But this text has been really special, guiding me along the way. So we'll close with our closing prayer here. I have intentions of putting up the prayers so that you can see them, but I'm very new to iMovie, and that'll come. Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnamudashate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace.